Well, here we are. Good Monday, everyone. And I am Noseman, Athanasios Pozantzis, and in my company here, I have Ellie, Lionel, and Sandro. And yeah, welcome everyone to our Monday Demystifying Post-Production for the month of December. So, how is everyone? Good?
Yeah, nice.
Good.
Good.
Good evening, everybody.
Yes, good evening on that side of the world. Yeah,
Oh.
we cover multiple time zones here.
Forgot it
Multiple
already.
time zones. The extremes is me on the west and Sandra on the east, and we cover about half the planet between us two. Anyway, so today we the dream team. Yes, we have a few missing. They are on holidays, I guess. So today we're going to talk about simulations, just like we started last week, and Lionel is going to show us some very interesting setups. But before we get into that and into the discussion and the presentation, let me do the housekeeping and repeat what I repeat every week. So first of all, if you want to find out all the events that are currently happening or in the future, you can go to the Maxon events page. Don't forget that the Maxon Training Team YouTube channel is hosting these live alongside the Maxon YouTube channel. But if you want to catch these recorded, please go to the Maxon Training Team YouTube channel where you would see them all with chapters and timestamps and so forth. Also, go to the ZBrush YouTube channel to check out the fantastic tutorials that they do about the equally fantastic software called ZBrush. If you want to get a certification to become a pro certified user or a certified trainer, go to the Maxon certification page, check out the topics, which is a very good guide for you to learn Cinema 4D as well. It'll give you an overview of the things that you would need to know in order to do whatever you want, essentially, in Cinema 4D, that is. And for the month of December, you can get your free t-shirt if you put the passcode Maxon Simulation, all caps, no spaces, and you only pay for postage and folding, as I usually say, and the packaging is free. For content, go to the new Cineversity channel where we have hundreds of tutorials, or the old Cineversity. I have them both. Yeah, I have both the same. Oh, this is wrong. So cineversity.com is the old one. Let me do that. Cineversity.com. And check out the thousands of tutorials we have over there. And with that said, first of all, I want to thank Kyle in the background for producing this show and fixing all my mistakes. And let me remove my screen, bring everyone in the foreground. And yes, one thing I'd like to ask you is, if you're asking a question, please use a capitalized question to start your question, so we can distinguish it from general comments. And I'm going to be looking at the questions alongside Ellie and Sandro. So feel free to ask any questions to Lionel. Talking about Lionel, what are you going to show us today? What's the plan?
So good evening, everyone. Good morning or good afternoon. I don't know.
Can you turn up your microphone a bit? For some reason, it turned down again. I thought we fixed
do it. Is it better now?
It's a bit better, yeah.
Slightly, yes.
Because I wasn't speaking yet. So yeah, I was saying good evening, good morning, and so on. So yeah, today we're going to try to play with Pyro and to do some fluid simulation. And actually some fluids like watery effect or slimy effect. And this is not what Pyro is meant to do, but still it's a fluid simulator. It's going to use fluid motion, so we can do something with it. It's like an experimentation. You will see it's interesting. We can do some interesting stuff with it, with the volume VDB and so on. So yeah, it's going to be fun. Is the sound okay?
There is a bit of a glitchy sound.
Fades away.
Okay,
Sometimes.
maybe I have an idea. This is an option from. This is weird because we tested. Okay, there is an option to adjust. Is it better now?
Yeah, it is when you're speaking more confidently, but I suppose it has something to do with noise cancellation filter.
Yeah, I just canceled that.
Cancel noise cancellation.
Yes, that's it. So I'm going to turn everything off.
Oh,
I think
perfect.
it's going to be. Is it better?
much better.
Much
Yeah.
better.
Okay. That was it. Okay. So good catch. Perfect. Okay. So let's see my screen.
We'll add you
And
to the stage. There
I'm
you
ready
go.
if you are. Okay. So yeah, the idea is to create those kind of animations. So I have 2 of them. And like I said, it's more like a work in progress or exploration or what we can do with Pyro. So it's not perfect, but still it's interesting. I have this spiral of water, which will be the first thing I'm going to show. So this is Pyro. There is no X particle or real flow or whatever. It's just using the volume, VDB, and all tool integrated into Cinema 4D. And it's quite capable. I mean, I'm not sure I'm going to do something different than that, because every time you will get something different. That's the purpose of simulation. You don't really know what you're going to get. It's going to be different every time and very art directable. So there is this one, and another one which is interesting, we'll see after that, is a slime simulation. So here it's not perfect yet. I'm not very happy here with the glitchy thing, but we have this slime coming down, and I'm sure I will be able to do something better live with you. So there will be a second part, and this is also Pyro. So using Pyro, the smoke, the density, you will see, to create that kind of effect. So it's more or less the same thing, but used differently. Okay, so let's start. I'm going to start with a new scene and create the base object. So I want to do my spiral of water. So I'm going to use here a helix, and we can use it on this plane here. And let's keep this angle. I'm going to end the end radius like that, and let's increase the height. Okay, so I love the spiral, the helix, because we can change a lot of stuff here. You can change the radial bias to get this, the height bias. It's very art directable. You can use the N angle, change a lot of the thing with that. So I'm going to keep it like 170, pretty basic. And now we're going to create a torus. So the torus will be the emitter for our fire, because this is actually fire, or to be more precise, smoke we're going to play with. So I put it down, and let's decrease the size to have more like a ring, a big donuts, like this. Okay. And why did I use a torus? Because we have this hole. The smoke will be more interesting. If I used, for example, a sphere or a cube or whatever, it's going to have an influence on the kind of fire I'm going to have. And here, the center hole is going to create a column. The shape will be more interesting. And now we're going to use the simulation tag Pyro emitter. And that's it for now. We're just going to take a look at the fire as it is. So let's hit play. It's going to take a few seconds to start, and then we have our Pyro simulation. And this is nice, but it's not looking like a spiral of water. So we have a lot of work to do on that. So Pyro is meant to do fire, but all the motion we can see here, the swirl of smoke and so on, can be used otherwise to create some fluid effect. So I'm going to change a few things right now. Let's take a look at our Pyro emitter. And we have here all sort of settings, and I would like just to take a look already at the temperature. So the temperature is going to create the flame that you can see here. It's going to create the motion for the smoke. If I deactivate here the temperature and start again the thing, we have something much different. This is only the smoke, and it's doing still something because there is pressure going on, but there is no heat anymore to raise the smoke. So it's just staying like that. and it's doing things because of the pressure again, and a few other settings that we have. So we have the noise. The noise is the noise of the density, so where is going to happen the smoke. And then we have inside Pyro, so we have the Pyro output, the Pyro scene. So actually I could just do here in edit, project settings, Control D. This is the same thing. This is the simulation scene by default, which is linked to this Pyro output. So if I use the Pyro output and go there, I have the same thing as if I use Control D. And for this one, I guess, because I'm going to use it a lot, I'm going to create a new window and dock it here. So it'll be easier to have all those settings. So here in Pyro, we have our voxel size and other thing. I'd like first to change the voxel size. Obviously, 5 centimeter is a bit low. So be careful with that because it doesn't... Oh, all right. It happens only when you're live. All right, so I'm going to...
Once we're on the subject, there are a couple of questions until you fire it up. First of all, I want to address VideoMark. I understand that, you know, all sorts of simulations, you know, a totally unified system is is welcome. But this presentation is not about actually making fluid simulations. It's about using the Pyro system to create stylized effects that look like fluids, but they're more stylized. And that's the, you know, I don't think that anyone will complain that we can do too much with the tools. No, this is not a flip solver or something like that.
Yes.
But especially when you do motion graphics, sometimes it's easier to have control using a different tool. You can do, let's say, not simulations, but things that look like fluids using many ways. And I think that we're doing what's it called, disservice to the whole Pyro system when we say we can't do fluids. Cinema 4D's Pyro is, if not one of the simplest, it is, I would say, the simplest Pyro simulation system that looks very good right out of the box, and it's very well integrated with the rest of the tools. And this is generally the scope of the presentation. The second thing I want to address is Lord Neutron, Your Highness, and asking, can you please show how to use advection with these tools? I assume you mean particle advection, and that's fairly simple. You just add a force field to your simulation and use the velocities to do that, because forces affect the particles. I did post a link to a Pyro simulation series, and I think I did some particle advection there. If not, this is noted. We'll probably, maybe if we have time, we can add it today or during the month. We're going to show, because it's fairly simple as a process. So sorry for that. Lionel, you can take the floor.
So I could recreate the thing, and this time saved it. So I hope it won't happen again. I'm pretty surprised because this is the first crash I have. I suppose that's StreamYard doing its thing. So anyway, I already did everything. I untick here the temperature, so we have only smoke. And then what I did, I decreased the voxel size. And I was saying about the voxel size, be careful with that, because this number depends a lot on your object. If I was going to create a tiny match, create a flyer from a match, so a very small object, I would use very small voxel size. If I want to create a big fire, I would use bigger voxel size, like for a volcano. And the voxel size is going to influence all the parameters. Usually, like everything in Cinema 4D, everything works better with something between 10 and 100 centimeter. So this is the case here. For example, my torus is 45 centimeter of radius. This is a sweet spot if you want to do most of the effect. So yeah, 3 centimeter, we have more details in the simulation, but as you can see, it still doesn't look like much. It won't anyway, because you don't have the pressure from, the heat from the temperature. So if I go back here to my Pyro emitter and change here my temperature, I'll be back to have the smoke going on because of the heat. Okay, you can see actually the heat if you go to your simulation. So I docked here. If you go to draw, and you have here all sort of things like volume to draw, and here we can see the temperature. So this is going to raise the smoke. If you don't have any temperature, the smoke is going to stay on mostly. Okay, let's go back to shaded. And then what I want to do is to make all this follow the spline. So for this, I'm going to use the force field. I could use other effector, actually forces we have here. They're all going to work. But if you want to have really precise motion, the field force is your best friend. The field force is going to work to do whatever you want. But it's a bit complicated to use. So here, I'm going to use the field force. And we're going to put our helix inside. Let's go back to 0 so we have a clear viewport. I'm going to save also. And let's put the helix inside. Okay, so we have a preview here. I'm not already going to use it. I'm just going here on the helix to change a few things. It's going to create vector along the way of the helix. This is what you have here, distance mode along. Okay. And I'm going to go to the remapping and increase the inner offset. So this way, it's going to create an infinite field. So everywhere around the helix, vector will be influenced to follow the shape of the helix. You can see it crudely here. I could change the size of the display here, but I'm going to skip that and just take a look for now what's going to happen. So our field force is for now just to add to velocity. I will see how it's going to work. So if I just hit play, the forces are going to work right off the bat. It's going to work, but you won't see much happening. Okay, this is because we are on add to velocity. I'm going to increase that, and still it's not already going to work exactly like we wanted. It's doing something. So first, it's maybe you can guess what's going on from the top. It's doing the thing the wrong way. Okay, so that happens very often, especially when you do use the helix. Think about that. You're going to think it's going to follow the helix along its way. No, it's the other way. And this is because we have, this is why we have a reverse. So reverse is going now to have the vector going the right way. And now we can see our smoke is going to go this way, but then it's going to dissipate. And it's just influenced. It's going to go this way. It's not going to follow the spline exactly the way we want, because we still have the motion of the heat going up. So it's going to add, as you can see here, add to velocity. It's going exactly to do that. So you won't really follow the thing. Second thing, we have our smoke, which is going to dissipate. So anyway, you won't see your smoke going this way because it will be gone by this time. So I'm going to change a few things. My field force, I'm going to use instead the set absolute velocity. And this is a great setting, but kind of dangerous because it's going to overtake everything in Pyro, almost everything. That's why we're going to change a few things. So if I just put to absolute velocity, let's take a look. You can see, yeah, it's going to take over everything. And we have this thing which is kind of interesting, but that's interesting enough. We lost all the shape and so on. So let's turn off again field force field to go back here. So I don't need this motion anymore, the motion of the heat. Let's disable the temperature. We have this. Now, if I activate the field force again, it's going to take over and go this way. All right. So now I'm going to go to my emitter, actually to my simulation. So here you have to know where you're going to change your settings, and we're going to play here with the density. So because we have only the density happening, and there's nothing else, I'm going here to see in our general density, buoyancy, vorticity strength, all sort of things. And here we have the density dissipation. So first, let's see the density dissipation. Every frame, every second, I will have to check. I don't know if you know. Anyway, you're going to have 7% of dissipation of the smoke. Let's put it to 0. This way, the smoke is going to accumulate. You won't really dissipate, just a tiny bit here because of this absolute density dissipation. And that takes care of the smoke disappearing. You can see it's going to follow and take this shape, which is already interesting, but very, very smooth. Okay. And going to go on like that because I don't stop the dissipation. So it's going to fill everything at some point. If I wanted to stop at some point, maybe I'm going to change a bit the relative density dissipation. Just a tiny amount should dissipate a bit sooner. So let's increase, let's go to 1% every time I start again. And yeah, it's dissipating a bit more. Let's try again, maybe 3%. And you can see it's, yeah, it's almost gone at 125 frame. Let's go to a bit more. And now it's stopping. Okay, but it's very boring because it's just going this way like that. And actually, if you're going to work with settings like the turbulence or other, it's going to play a little bit on the simulation, but not that much because it's almost overwritten by our field force in absolute velocity. This is why I said it's kind of dangerous setting to play with. I mean, dangerous type because it's taking everything over. But what we can do is to make this velocity field more interesting because here it's just the helix at 100% of intensity. What I could do is use another field which will be here a random field. So if I use my random field here, let's add it to the field force. It's already there. It's going to change our vector. So by default, it's going on max. So let's take a look what's going on. You can see already it's more interesting. It's more like a fluid, but it's also going to slow the fluids because it's taking the highest value. So it's mostly a bit of overwriting the helix. We have more interesting result if you use here, for example, the add mode. So add, it's going to add the velocity of the random field on top of the helix. So we'll get more of our original helix. You can see it's following more closely, and we already have a very interesting shape. So like Thanasis said, this is already a cheat. This is a fluid simulation, but not really anymore because all the tangents that you can see here come from the random field.
I want to make a big revelation. It's all cheating, right? 3D and VFX and motion. It's cheating. Everything. It's not real. You can't reach into your screen. So, thanks for confirming that, Lionel.
Exactly. So here I'm just taking an aspect of Pyro to do this. So from there, I'm already pretty satisfied. I could just render the smoke. I could add fuel to it because actually, like I said, if I use not the fuel, I'm sorry, the temperature, it's going to add on top of it. I'm not really influenced anymore. And because it's dissipating, I could just go here to our temperature and do the same thing. Decrease here the temperature dissipation. Maybe let's decrease it to only 2%. And we have more of a fire going on all the time. And at this point, you can already play here with the draw settings. Shaded is everything. Density alone. Temperature, like we said. And all this can be used. Okay? So let's go back to shaded. And I'm going to... I won't use temperature for this because I can do it, but not this time. Now, I would like to shade that. I mean, to make a volume. So let's play like this. I could use the Pyro volume and to do some real smoke, but I want to make it like some water. So to do that, you have a few things to do first. On your Pyro output, on your object, you will have to check the density on, okay? It won't work otherwise. So on is going to create voxels, voxel that we're going to use actually inside Cinema 4D. I don't need the temperature because I don't use it anyway, so off. And for this one, I'm not going to use the velocity. So if you wanted to advect particles, like Nozman said, we would use here our velocity field, but I'm not going to use it. This way, I'm just going to save memory. Voxels are going to add up very quickly and make a huge file scene. Be careful with that. You can easily get gigabytes of data if you check everything on, use small voxel value, and long simulation settings. It can really kill your hard drive. So be careful with that. I'm optimizing as much as I can. So now it's on. We have actual voxel. I'm going to use them to create a volume. So I'm going to hide here our Pyro because I'm not going to use the shading of the viewport. If I untick here, we can see we still have something, but those are actual voxel. It's translated.
Can I interject 1 second?
Yeah.
Just to make sure. Now, on the tutorial, I posted a link above. I do explain it, but what you need to understand is that when you see the fire and the smoke, when the draw Pyro, the button that Lionel just clicked off, when you can see it in your viewport, what you're seeing is what is on the GPU. All right, that is what you see. When you turn this off and then set your grids, the ones in the Pyro object, to on, then you're downloading that data from the GPU into Cinema 4D, and you can use it like any other volume. Because if you have one or the other switched on, it may be indistinguishable to you. Why can't I mesh, for example, the density and all that? So make sure you follow exactly what Lionel is showing here. Turn off the draw Pyro so it doesn't confuse you, and turn on the grids that exist in the Pyro output object, because that is the data we can use in Cinema 4D with our standard tools.
Exactly. Otherwise, it would sit inside the GPU, and Cinema 4D cannot use it. That's simple.
We can say that without forcing it to a setting on, it is streaming to Cinema 4D, but it is not actually there, so we cannot utilize it in one way or another. And this is said actually in Nozman's series about Pyro, an absolute must-watch before anything else.
Yeah, the draw Pyro is just an image. Imagine it as a 3D image. It's not the actual Pyro data. That's it. Just for viewport feedback. That's all.
And also, because I want to use it as it is, I have to do one thing also before I go to scene. I'm going to use simulate before generator. This is also important because otherwise we will have kind of lag between our OpenVDB volume, the volume builder I'm going to use right now, and the actual simulation. So important not to forget that. So now I have this on and simulate before generator. I can use right now our volume builder. So I'm going to add it, and you can see we already have something. I'm going to save also. All right, our volume builder. So it's going to use the VDB we have, and here we have obviously a problem of voxel size. And you can more or less match the simulation you have here. So you have 3 centimeter. I can use 3 centimeter, but you don't really have to. You can have like 5 or 2. It can be interesting. Rule of thumb would be to start at the same size, and then you're going to see if you can do something with it. Okay, so we see that. That's
Can I
really
ask you
interesting.
something? No, sorry for
Yep.
interrupting all the time. What if you just drop your Pyro object into a mesher? What will happen? Because the Pyro object has volumetric data, and the mesher is going to mesh it.
Well, maybe it would work, but I'm going to use, you will see why I do that, but it's a good question. Yeah, it works. Yeah, and that makes sense. But I will have less freedom to do what I want to do next. But that's a
Yes.
good point.
Yes, excellent.
You can see it work. It makes sense because it's a revoxel. So yeah, that work. Okay, let's Control Z, volume builder. We have this. And actually, I'm going to use the volume mesher so we can see the actual mesh. But why did I put it inside the volume builder? Because I can change the voxel size and I can work here on the Pyro output and, for example, use the surface threshold. So this is something you won't, well, you will not really use with the object if you use, for example, a cube or something like that. But with some actual VDB coming from a simulation, it's very interesting. If I just change my surface threshold, you will see I will get more of our Pyro simulation.
That's yeah, that's fantastic. So you have an extra level of control. If
Cool.
you take your volume data, put it in a volume builder, and then mesh it. That's fantastic. Great
That's
information.
it. If I can go right to 0.1, which is almost the maximum, and then I have almost everything. You can see it's almost a match of the actual simulation. Okay, from there you can see that it looks like crap because this is still a fairly low voxel size. I mean high because it's 3 centimeter, and also we didn't use any SDS smooth. So the second thing I'm going to use is that SDS smooth is going to smooth everything like a blur. So that's very good for water because this is usually how water is going to look. But this way I'm going to lose all the nice tendril I could have over there. So to that, I can just play with the SDS smooth. For example, decrease the voxel size to 1. Already we have a bit more details. And actually the problem here is my simulation is simply too low. Okay, if I decrease here to 2 centimeter, it'll be a bit more defined, but I would say maybe I lack voxel. I don't have any voxel from the actual simulation we have here. So we play with the two value here, the voxel size and this one. So this one I can change it live. I have more definition, more details, but the shape is not going to get any finer because it's defined by the resolution I have here. And at 1 centimeter, it's going to get slow also. So here my SDS smooth, maybe I can raise it to 2 iteration. It's going to smooth a little bit. And we have a nicer mesh like that. Or what I could do is go back to 3 centimeter. Anyway, deactivate volume mesher and volume builder, and maybe work on our Pyro output. Well, I have it here. It's the same. I repeat, this Pyro scene is this one. Those are the same. Okay. So I'm going just to play here and maybe try a simulation at 2 centimeter. I'm going to save. So I deactivate that just for the sake of speed. I don't need to see the mesh. I just want to simulate the smoke. Then I'm just going to use the result. And you can see we have more interesting shape because we have more details. Everything is finer. Okay. So because it's still here on our cache, it's still on, I can use again this. And now lower the simulation, but let's go back to 1. It's going to be bigger and longer to calculate. But now we have nice result. And maybe from here, I can play again with the SDS smooth. Maybe increase one more iteration. And maybe use on top, well, actually, that's pretty nice already, I think. If I want to smooth it further, what I can do is put everything inside a null object and use the modifier smoothing. Okay, so it's going to smooth even more. Let's decrease the stiffness to 0. And you can see here with our strength. See, it's subtle, but it'll be better. It'll be a bit nicer when you have all those. So actually, I'm pretty happy with that. I just want to show one more thing before I switch to the shading, because it's almost done already. It's a pretty simple setup, actually. In my Pyro output, there is one thing I don't like, because we use here the field force in absolute velocity. So it's going to create everything, all the motion come from the random field. Our smoke here is not moving.
Mm-hmm.
If we think about water, it should be a bit oscillating here. It would do something, and it doesn't. That's normal because it's the absolute velocity. So I'm just going to take my random field and animate it. Just a tiny bit, like 6%, I think should be enough. Let's start again. And yeah, maybe let's increase the bit. Yeah, now it's good. Now we still have the motion. So the field, the force field is going to play and create this kind of motion on top of it. And it's still a bit too subtle, so maybe I'm going to increase again the animation speed. I just had to play with it, and it really depends on the kind of noise you're going to use. So this is, for example, the Perlin noise, but if I increase the size of the scale, like 600, we'll have more motion going on. You can see here. It's moving a bit more, looking more like a fluid. And what I can do also is maybe use other random field on top of it. So if I use another random field, this one will be, for example, the nucleus. I like it for that kind of thing. I put it also in the field force on top of it. On top of it. Okay, actually it switched, yeah. I replaced one with the other. Okay, here we are. Okay, so this is my random field. Let's not forget add for both of them. And I guess this second one, which will be more precise with more details, I'm going to decrease the opacity. And I just play again and see the result. Well, actually, I think we can go back to something stronger. So it's adding details everywhere. And when I'm happy with that, I can just activate back all my tool and see the result. So I have to wait for the Vim Builder. We have here 1 centimeter of voxel. It's quite big, and you can see we have some nice detail, and still it's smooth enough for the water. Okay, so very good. At this point, what I could do is cache everything. Because if you're going to render this, it's going to take forever because it's going to calculate the voxel from the fire, then converting the voxel to the SDF, then using everything, it's very long. So if you want to cache this, you're going to Pyro output and use our cache. I'm not going to do it. I will show you one final result, but that's what I would do in production. What I can do here is already just try with the shading and to try to have something nice to show. So let's save.
Can I address a question
Yes.
by Cyril? The question was, why not use a subdivision surface generator to smooth instead of the smooth deformer? It's actually quite a popular one. A lot of people ask the question. The subdivision surface doesn't really smooth. What it does, it creates subdivisions to make, create interpolation. So it adds polygons and puts them in an interpolated fashion. And in some cases, it creates a more smooth result. But it has 2 downsides. Number one, it generates geometry. So you will, for every unit of subdivision surface you're going to use, you're actually quadrupling your polygons. If you have 1 million polygons, the first level is going to create 4 million polygons and so forth. The second level is going to quadruple that. So it's not an economic, it's not efficient. The other thing is that it doesn't actually smooth. It doesn't take the geometry and find the rough angles and smooth them out, which is what the smooth deformer does. So if a subdivision surface works for your situation, you can use it, but it's not smoothing per se. It's just subdividing the surface and creating a more rounded geometry. If that's what you want, you do it. Otherwise, just smoothing, you use a smooth modifier and you're good to go.
Yeah, I will it up if you don't mind that like any 3D or VFX artist should definitely Google up Catmull Clark's algorithm to better understand the logic. It is very topology dependent. And as Nosman said, it doesn't smooth. There's another purpose,
if we want to see the ugly truth, you don't want to subdivide this. I mean, it's already huge, and because it's VDB, this is not nice polygons. This is not nice quad. It won't really fare very well with the subdivision surface. So you're going to get a huge geometry, and it could even look worse because you will have some. Well, it doesn't. Yeah, it doesn't work very well with that. Even if those are quads, you can see they are not very regular. They're going to create some patterns. It's going to be weird. Okay, so let's hide this. Okay, now for the shading, it's pretty easy. I'm going just to put here on my whole object volume measure our default material. If you want to do pure water, you're going to put the transmission to 1. That's it. I'm going to hide the torus and let's put HDRI. I'm going to do very, very simple shading. Okay, so let's put a dome light and then in the media, I'm going to fetch some nice HDRI. So those are not from the Maxon one, those are mine. I mean, it's not mine. Those are HDRI I downloaded and added to the asset browser. It's amazing for that. And I'm going to use, for example, here this Basic Studio. I like it a lot because it's colorful and creates some nice reflection. So let's put it here. And let's hide. I'm going to save again. Yeah, I'm paranoid now. I have the crash. So start here from the viewport. I'm going to hide everything. And we have this, and you can see already it looks pretty nice. And for just water, simple water like that, I'm going to, in the Redshift render, activate the denoising because I'm not going to add a real any detail on it. I want to have something smooth, so it's perfect for that. And from there, it's pretty easy to fine-tune the material. You can just play with the dome light, so go the coordinate and move it around and see what's going on. And have some nice reflection. I'm going to hide actually in the background our dome light, so we have a dark background. And if you want your water to be more compact, because here it's very transparent, you're going to use here in the transmission, you're going to put some color. So for example, if you want to colorize it light blue, it's going to colorize everything like that. But if you use the depth at the same time, it's going to colorize it this color depending on the depth in centimeter. Because this water helix is pretty big, I'm going to use a big value like 100 to have more interesting color, because the thicker the water, the thicker is the helix, and the bluer it's going to get. If you put a very low value like 1, you're going to get something very black actually, because it's just going to stop all the light. So 100 is nicer. If you want to have something really clear water, you're going to decrease the roughness to 0. So we have those very strong reflection. From there, maybe I would like to add the background again so we can see more how it looks. If you want to have something more like icy effect, you're going to increase the roughness. If I just put to 0.2, it's going to create some nice color from the depth of the reflection and from the colored reflection of the dome light. A lot comes from only the SGI. You see, with this nice background. And if you want to make it more dense, even more dense, you can use here the scatter color. The scatter color is going to add like a medium inside your water effect. So I'm going to use the same color here, but at a lower value like that. And it's depending on the depth also. It's going to add more of this overall color on top of it. And from there, it's very easy to fine tune. Here you can go back to your volume measure. So maybe I'm going to stop the IPR here. So it's calculating the voxel again. And on the viewport here, I'm going to turn off the material because we don't see anything the other way. And here on our volume measure and volume builder, we can play with it. If you think your water is too thick, you can just go back to the Pyro output and maybe increase the sulfur threshold. So 0.1, again, it's going to take a bit more time to calculate. And here, I guess my SDS smooth is a bit too strong. So depending on whatever you do, you have to switch on, off, a lot of things to create. And actually 0.1 is definitely too strong. So 0.05. Yeah, that's more like it. What you could do also, let's go back to 0.1. Is to use other field like the delete and erode, which works pretty well for that. So delete and erode is going to add more thickness around every voxel. You can see everything is thicker. Or maybe you want to do it the other way. So I'm going to -1 centimeter. So it's going to shrink everything and create some tiny details like that. And if I go too strong, it's going to make disappear a lot of things. Here we could use also another one I like a lot. It's the SDF close and open. So this one, is going to try to fill the hole. As you can see here, it's perfect to create that kind of detail here. So the close and open, we can use several iterations, and it's going to try to close the gap even more. And when you're happy with something like that, you can just go back to Redshift and see how it looks. Yeah, it's recalculating the volume builder for some reason. All right, here we are. Try different angle. And so one last thing I would like to show, even here, if you really want to play even more with your the shape of the volume here, we're not finished because we could use another field, so yet another field to sculpt, if you want, inside this thing. So what I can do is add another random field. I could very well use one of them actually, but I just want to create a new one to see what's going on. And let's call it this one a random field inside, so that they don't have all the same name. And this one I'm going to put it inside the volume builder, like here. This one you must change the creation space from box to object below. And you will see it's going to calculate the volume builder. It's going to add the noise inside. So here, this random field, I'm going to increase a lot the scale, like 1500. So every time it's calculating because it's a big voxel size. And if I'm going to change the remapping, so it's a bit advanced what I'm doing here, but I'm going to uncheck everything, so I will have a faster viewport. Here in the random field, I'm going to change to curve. I'm going just to contrast the noise. So this is like a contrast curve. I'm going to make it much tighter like that. So we'll have more of white and black thing, exactly like you would do in Photoshop or After Effects. And this is going to cut holes inside our object. So let's see. It's calculating everything again. And is it working? Volume builder. Yeah, actually, yeah, it's subtract. Forgot about that. Okay, you saw it just cut things inside. So actually here, I think I have the voxel size a bit too low. Everything is very sluggish. So I'm going to decrease just the size. We can see it because here I'm just working blind. It's difficult. Now, if I do that, yeah, you can see how I'm cutting inside the object. And I think I could actually decrease the size, like 800. So it's going to add more detail to our thing again. Or I could just put it to 100 scale. There we will see more all our cut. And I think in that case, maybe I should put it right after this Pyro output. So it's going to, yes. You can see here, I have created those holes thanks to this one. Then we're going to delete erase, then we're going to close, then we're going to smooth. And the smooth here is too strong because I have lowered the voxel size. So let's go back to 1, and I think we'll get the detail back. Calculating. Yes. Yes, that's definitely better, different. And this one could be also animated. So it's always noise on top of noise on top of noise. I think we had a webinar about that with Mark.
Yes, for the rendering.
Showing all. If you know how to master noise, you master everything. And that's so powerful. I really love to play with noise and put field on top of other field and so on. Okay, so that's how I created. So here I won't have time to cache it, but this is what you can see here, creating our object. And like we said, yes, those are not fluids. It's fluids-like. It's almost an interpretation, an idea of fluids.
That's a point I want to touch upon again, because we are getting a few questions on that. Carsten says, I hope this will be redundant when 2025. You know more things than I do, Carsten. What I do want to say is that, no, it won't be redundant. I know what you mean. I'm just being smart alecky here. This Lionel's demonstration shows that you can do much more with the system than just smoke and fire. And that's what we're trying to establish here, that in Cinema 4D, you can abuse the tools in ways where they were not pretty much intended to be used. This is a proper pyro simulation, but you can use it to create these fluidy, liquidy looking things. And, you know, in release 2026 or 2025 or whatever the next version is going to be, you'll be able to use a flip solver to create smoke. So nothing is, you know, set in stone. Use this to do that, and use the other to do the other thing. Just try and think outside the box and take advantage of this flexibility, so that you can drive the tools you have available at the moment to do more things than they were literally designed to do. And this is the magic of what Lionel's showing, that you could.
Also, can I make one small comment on this as well? So Man vs Machine have recently done some R&D for Renault, which is basically a pyro simulation in a volume builder, and they've got like really great metal materials on it. So I don't know if anyone's seen that, but it just shows that, as Noseman and Lionel were saying, that you don't have to sort of just take pyro as what it is. You can create these really interesting and creative elements by thinking outside of the box and taking these tools and kind of just adapting them to your own sort of workflows. So I just wanted to mention that as well. I'm going to throw the link in the chat.
And that's why Cinema 4D is an artist's tool, in the same way that an artist will take anything in their hands and they will create something that looks good. So try and see it outside the strict confines of what a tool was made to do, and try and experiment. Think outside the box, and you can do some incredible stuff, just like the stuff that Lionel is showing us. So no, it won't be redundant. Maybe we'll get methods to do other things more efficiently, faster, more predictable, and so forth. But being able to use the tools in an unconventional manner should never become redundant. Right? And again, I understand the comment. I just wanted to be a bit smart alecky. Can I, a couple more things. An interesting question from Matt. Dr. Noseman, thank you. Are we limited to Redshift because VDBs and so forth? So no, we're not. And this can work both ways. We can import VDBs and use them in the same context as we use our own Pyro creations. And we can do the opposite. When we cache something externally, the Pyro data becomes a VDB with the available grids. So a VDB file can have multiple grids. And in Pyro's case, in our case, if you go to the, can you select the output object, please, Lionel? Oh, yeah, caching.
That's not the right moment, sorry. I was taking the opportunity to...
Here's my, so if I go to the output object, if I cache this, it will create a VDB sequence that has a density, a color, a temperature, fuel, a velocity, a pressure and a divergence a grid, and you can export. This is a normal VDB file. You can import it in any software or renderer or any platform that supports VDB and do whatever you want with it. So it's a bidirectional relationship. The other questions we're having here is caching the Pyro going to break the sim? And actually, not only it's not going to break it, it's actually the suggested way, just like Lionel is showing. Shall I bring up your screen, Lionel?
Yeah.
Are you decent? Yeah. Okay.
I see you also made a setup with advected particles. Yeah.
Yes, I'm going to show.
Guess
that.
we all did. Okay, we'll compare ours. Yep.
Okay. So, yes, of course. Why do I not see my simulation? Because I'm in geometry only. Yeah. So let's go back here. And well, it looks weird. I'm afraid there is. Oh, yes. I think I have a crash of the driver. That's something else. Huh? Bad luck tonight. Yeah, I think the. Yeah, there's. Oh, yeah. Okay, the different problem. Maybe you will take. I'm going to just to restart Cinema 4D. The cache have been calculated. I just need to restart it.
It is a good thing to demonstrate because it is very down to reality. That is what happens every now and then, all the time. Actually, our working days usually consists of those crashes.
Actually, I'm
just being honest.
I didn't have any crash when I created the file and so on. I really think it's StreamYard doing its thing. It's taking a lot of resources. So
yeah.
Let's go back. Okay, there we are. So now it's cached, and because it's cached, I could almost hit play. Well, almost not ready because it's a very big simulation. But we can see here it's working. And of course, if I just activate back everything, it's going to work again now. It's going to be slow because it has to calculate everything on the fly, but at least there is not the Pyro simulation to do anymore. It's just going to calculate here the volume builder and the volume measure, and that's it. So here I jump to another frame, and now it's going to work. Yeah, there you are. So from there, I could just use my simulator, and this way I just created a few tests to see, for example, this is the preview. This is the same simulation with a preview of 1 centimeter. You can see it's very detailed. But you can also play with a big simulation, very coarse, and we have more like gluey effect, as you can see. It's interesting because this is 5 centimeter. So it's going to be much faster, much tinier, I mean, not as big on your hard drive than the one at 1 centimeter. If you just want to create an effect like that, it works pretty well, as you can see. Actually, which one do I prefer? I don't know. Those are different. At 1 centimeter, I have more details, but maybe too much details. It really depends on what you're after. And that's what's interesting with this method, because it's all fake. We can easily play with the detail and so on without recaching everything. So yeah, I can see the time. I don't think I have time to show the second thing. I can just show the basics of my slime effect by loading the file.
That would be great. Yep.
So this is already cached, and let's just take a look here at this. So this is the actual simulation, and you can see we have our smoke. So this is a smoke. This is a density simulation. There is no force field, and it's just dripping like that. And if we take a look here at our emission, so I'm going to untick this and just show our text. What I did, I created a simple text, put it inside a volume builder, then a volume measure, and then use this geometry to emit here only density, so no temperature again. But inside our Pyro settings, I put a fairly low voxel size to have details. And what I did, I decrease a lot the vorticity strength. So the vorticity is going to create those billows of smoke, those swirls of smoke. It depends on the pressure also. So I lowered it and I deactivate the turbulence to have very smooth motion. And the most important here in the density, I decreased everything back to 0, so the smoke is going to stay on. And in the my settings of general, density buoyancy is the weight of the smoke, and it works the other way. By default, it's 5, meaning it's going to be easily raised up by the fire. If you don't have any fire and you put density buoyancy very high, this is counterintuitive, but actually very logical from the mathematical viewpoint. It's going to drop, and this is why our smoke is going to drip like that. And also what I did is it in the extra settings, I decrease in the density. Yes, the density smooth factor. Actually, I didn't play much with it. That's something I could have done. Density smooth factor is going to have less detail and going to create more like a sphere of smoke, which is exactly what I wanted to have here. If we go back to Pyro output. So all this together made this. It's dripping like some slime or whatever you wanted to call it. So then I put it inside the volume builder, and it's the same play again. Volume builder using our Pyro output very low, and then some SDF close, smooth, delete and erode. So the first look is like this. Then using a few other, like the close and open, which is great for this one because it's going to close the gap. Then you're going to smooth it and maybe to erode it. Okay, and there we are. We have our slime going on. So the downside with this, you can already get rid of thing that is going to dissipate, because again, it's all fake. I'm just using it the wrong way, I would say, or a creative way. That's better. So actual slime should drop. And we can see here, yeah, it's not a real fluid simulation. It's just an interpretation of smoke creating some slime. It doesn't update. That's weird. Maybe
Lionel, if you mind, actually, any fluids meshing is always a very hard quest to do. So you always start getting those flickers and so on, regardless of engine you use. So the same goes for particles. It is only about consistency and resolution. And for this case, maybe perhaps it is smart to oppress your Pyro simulation so that you have more consistency. Yeah, and then maybe try to cache it, to mesh it.
I think really that 2 centimeter is very optimistic. It won't work. It won't work. I think it's at least 1 centimeter to have some great result. There is still some research to do with that. Also, I tried a few other things using. Well, I tried all other things and it works. It works pretty well overall. So
yeah.
I would say anyway for still frame it works very well because you have those are credible. Just have to get rid of this tiny speck here, which shouldn't be there, but you have all those holes. You see here, it's like you can see it's dripping from the thing. It's oozing from our object.
Fantastic. Let's get to a few questions. Sandro, if you did the advection, you can share your screen and show it. Is that something you want to show? I have a scene ready anyway, but if you want to show it, I'll be very happy to see you doing that. Do you want me to put you on the spotlight?
Sure, let's go. I believe I pushed all the necessary buttons.
You pushed all the necessary buttons. Okay, let's find your screen. There you go. Here's your screen. So show us, Sandra, how to do particle advection.
Oh, you can see it, right? So
Yes, we can.
I made it not in a very beautiful manner, but just for gigs, so that the first thing you have to do is to force velocity, and I also forced density just for the sake of viewport. And okay, there we have it. And now we can plug this directly into a field force. We can plug our Pyro output. Well, in this case, it's in this mode, but maybe we should also try other ones. And another necessary thing is that you go to your simulation settings, Pyro, and here I excluded this field force from the forces list. Otherwise, you would have this crazy loop.
Feedback. It creates a feedback loop.
Yeah.
The velocity affects the velocity.
You can definitely see. So they are advecting. Okay, this is not quite normalized. I would prefer it, and it's add to velocity, and you can see that. So okay, so there's a very tiny number actually. So maybe you could suggest me some ways to clamp it, but clamp doesn't work. So
No,
maybe...
put it. Set your velocity field to 0.002.
Yeah.
Oh really?
Yeah.
Oh really?
Yes, very low value. It's
Very
weird.
low value because particles are massless.
Ah, indeed. Yeah, so I can see
And even
that's
lower.
the way
You can even add
even
one more
lower,
zero.
even lower.
And there you go. And basically that's advection. You get the velocity field and you plug it into a force field.
And it
field
works
force.
like Nova. And also when you're trying to achieve advection, you never actually need high resolution for your Pyro. Like low resolution would be more than enough, and you will get it anyways. You can place your emitter any way possible. Like now we can maybe compare with Noseman's, because Noseman's is exactly that, from beneath, and maybe in another mode.
It's the same. It's exactly the same setup. And
pretty straightforward. I also tried plugging it in. Oops. Plugging it in down the rabbit hole into the volume builder, but it's quite unnecessary. Same result, only consuming more memory and stuff.
Yeah, if you plug it in the volume builder, what you could do is use the mathematical operations, the curl and all that, to twist it around again to make non-realistic psychedelic stuff. But that again is just a testament to how you can abuse the system and do all sorts of things. But in terms of simple particle advection, that's how you do it. Force field, get the velocity. And one thing I did different, you can make a copy of your Pyro output object. So you can have a Pyro object which you're going to use for rendering, and a Pyro object which you're going to use only for the velocity fields. And if you turn on the velocities, then you see all the velocities in your viewport. It's quite funky. But
if I don't have anything else, so I will see only the velocity. Oh, that's weird. Why don't I see it?
Because you have it off in the viewport, in the editor, the little red dot. Sandra, you know that.
Oh yes, you're right. Of course, I did it on purpose, actually, not to see it.
Okay,
beautiful.
Time for a quick tutorial for Sandra. Those little circles are for viewport.
Oh my god. Okay.
I was waiting for this. Thank you very much, Sandra, for providing me the opportunity.
All right. Okay. Oh,
that's
if I'm
pretty
still on, there is also one interesting setup, if you don't mind. So if you're talking simulation, so that's the thing my friends actually sent me, and I was trying to figure out how to make this shredding and cloth. And actually those are two different setups. One is completely parametric, where we have this plain parametric, we have this vertex map, and even those tearings are generated by the formula. So you can, at any place, you can change your segment count. Yeah, but in the case of parametric meshes, you cannot stitch it back. And in this second one, this is an old school belting, and you actually can belt it back. So there is a one more plane underneath, so that is always present, but simply hidden with those tiny circles, ladies and gentlemen.
Yes.
So
That's
just
fantastic.
Clever.
sharing. Thank you. So
People
I have
come-
nothing more to
People
demonstrate.
come for Pyro. People come to watch us for Pyro, and they can learn about all kinds of simulations. That's fantastic. Let's see if we can address a few questions before. So no one's screen is shared now. Question by Scott. Will C4D CD4? How dare you create a liquid simulation tool? We don't know. We can't answer these questions. I'm replying just to make a point about that. We never talk about new features, if and when, or if not, and all that. That is, you can write to Maxon, and if they want to reply, they can reply. This is just educational and entertaining to show you what you can do and how you can enjoy using Cinema 4D. Now, Chris Amir had a question about, is caching different name for baking? I think, and if any of you can correct me, we would use caching for geometry and baking for images. That's how I would use it. But essentially, it's a similar function.
Yes.
It's just taking the procedural nature of something and making it into a just container of data, like pixels and all that. So I would say that baking is mostly for textures, for images, and although you can use it interchangeably, I mean, everyone understands what you mean by that. So if there are no complaints about my interpretation, I can move down the list and see if there's anything else. Let's see what's here. How to use rope connector with rigid body in new versions. The same way you would use a soft body or cloth or anything like that. If you have a particular scene that behaves in a particular way, you can hit me up on Twitter at nosemangr, and usually this is me on Twitter. With a simplified file. Don't send me your production scenes, please. Don't send me scenes that have third-party plugins. Just simplify what you're asking in the simplest possible way. Send it over so I don't have to set it up because I'm lazy. And I will provide you with a solution or an explanation why something may not work the way you expect it to. And let me see if we have any other marked questions up here which we didn't get to. I'm looking at all the texts and all my monitors and all that. I don't see anything. Do you have anything else to show us, Lionel? Or are you done?
No, that's it, yeah.
That's it. Only 1 hour, 20 minutes in. We only went over by 20 minutes. Okay, hope this is not going to jinx us. Any final words? Lionel, Sandro, Ellie?
Well, that was actually fantastic in terms, and I agree with all of you. So this is first and foremost creative approaches exercise, and it always be actual and present, actually, because nothing is fluid flip solver except the fluid flip solver, right?
Actually, I try to do some viscous effect, so very jelly like jam effect with rigid body. I almost had it, but no, it doesn't work. Maybe I could make it work, but anyway, that's just crazy because it's not meant to do it using rigid body to create fluids. But I tried. I failed, but I tried. But at least the water worked.
Half the fun is playing around and getting weird results.
Yeah.
If everything works out as you expected from the very beginning, believe me, your lives are going to be so boring.
Oh, yes.
Okay, well, I am going to do the housekeeping, the closing, and then stay with us so we can say goodbye to everyone. So very, very quickly, if you want to see any of the events that are happening now or in the future, just go to the Maxon events page and everything is laid out there, whether it's online, in person, and so forth. If you're in Europe, make sure if you're close to Paris to go and see the Paris. When is it, Lionel? The Paris
Tomorrow.
Right. So check out, here it is, Design and Animation Tour in Paris. Go and sign up and go and visit the wonderful people there. And as far as the videos, there was a question about where I'm late. Someone said I'm late. You should add fashionably. Fashionably. All right. So you're never late. You're on time. So you can go to the Maxon Training Team. And although we stream on both Maxon YouTube channel and Maxon Training Team YouTube channel, the videos are hosted on the Maxon Training Team channel after the fact. So you will find all the videos over here, and they're going to have timestamps and all that, courtesy of Dr. Sassy, that's doing a wonderful job and giving us excellent comments. And don't forget to go to the ZBrush YouTube channel to learn this amazing artist-friendly software and what people are doing with it. I'm always amazed. I'm not a good artist, so I would say I'm envious. I want people that make wonderful things to suffer in certain ways. That's just my incompetence speaking. If you want to become a certified pro user or certified trainer, go to the Maxon certifications page, and don't forget to untwirl this one, the middle one here. Click on the certification topics, and it will give you topics of what the test is about, and it will also give you a guide of on what you need to learn to be able to work more efficiently, faster, be more productive, and more creative in Cinema 4D. Don't forget to get your swag, your T-shirt, by using the Maxon Simulation, all caps, one word, no gaps, no spaces, for the month of November, and you can claim your free T-shirt. And of course, go and visit the Cineversity, where, here is the Pyro series I did. We have simulations, we have all sorts of things, and thousands more tutorials if you go to the old Cineversity. And although a lot of them have been done using the previous interfaces, the technology and the techniques are still relevant. So it's a fantastic repository of information. And yeah, I think that's what the housekeeping has to say. And with on that note, to quote someone famous on TV, I want to thank you all for being part of this, both the attendees and our guests and colleagues here. And catch us next week. We have more fantastic stuff on the topic. And please ask questions and keep sending us your comments. Ellie, Lionel, Sandro, thanks for being here. And I will see
You're
you
welcome.
soon.
Thanks, everyone, and to our viewers and listeners.
See you.
See you
Bye-bye.
soon.